Gators won.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did.
38-28 or 38-27 or something.
Woohoo! Go Gators.
Yeah, no. That's great.
Go Gators.
Wins better than losing, even if it's South Carolina.
Yeah. It keeps our parking lot alive.
Yes.
Hey everybody, this is the Jimmy Doane Show. This is the Jimmy Doane Gator Show. No, it's the regular Jimmy Doane Show. And that means it's 4 o'clock, Wednesdays or Sundays. We do this twice a week, right here, live. I'll also post a copy up on YouTube later with all the subjects time-stamped and share it over on Twitter. Just search for Jimmy Doane, D-O-A-N-E, and you'll find us. Today is the 20th day of Rocktober 2019, and I am here in California. Jimmy is in Washington, D.C.
Where am I in Washington?
I don't know. You're the local.
Oh, I'm the one. Yeah, actually, no. I guess I dialed in the not the time machine, the transporter. But being in Washington, there is big news from Washington. Elijah Cummings, of course, died.
Yes.
He was, a star. There, the praises for this guy are over the top. I mean, he was a
representative,
right, from Baltimore of all places, and number one. And of course, he had a couple of things. Number one, he drove home every night when he finished with the business in the house. He stayed at home.
Where else are they going to? You mean?
No. Most people get in a condo or something in Washington D.C.
Okay.
But Baltimore is 40 miles away or something. I mean, it's a bit of a hike. Anyway, so he was a civil rights icon, as they say, and a very liberal. And he was head of one of the impeachment committees. One of the people that was thinking about, I forget which one, but it doesn't matter. He was all over that kind of stuff. But and he had been in Congress for over 20 years, and so he was a fixture. And they really considered him to be just one of the most fabulous people on the planet. Now, he did, and guess who's going to take his seat?
His wife?
His trophy wife. I say trophy wife. She's good looking. And I saw a picture of her, and I can't believe that she's the same age as he was. I mean, either that or she's got a little work done. At any rate, so the wife is going to run, and that'll be interesting to see how that works out. Anyway, that was the Washington D.C. news. We are going to now move on to, and I don't know if you've got a thing this. Well, wait a minute. I can stay in Washington for one more thing. The impeachment. One of the headlines I saw that was really kind of good. Thank you. Oops. Don't spill.
It's close.
Yeah. Is what I think about the impeachment business. The hardest part of the impeachment bit is too many crimes. Too many crimes to stay focused. And of course, what the word du jour, among others, is quid pro quo, and was there a quid pro quo on the quid pro quo?
Right.
And on, Jesus. And then the other word that is emoluments.
Right.
Nobody had heard of emoluments before 2 years ago. I mean,
right.
Nobody. It did not. I mean, emoluments was like some kind of custard or something. I don't know.
Right.
But now it is the word. It's like gravitas was several years ago. This emoluments is everywhere, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's he making money. Emoluments.
Well, that's the thing. It comes down to. I mean, they talk about this emoluments clause as though if Trump benefits at all,
right,
then it's a violation, which is ridiculous. And I mean, all due respect to Judge Napolitano, who came out and said this is a direct violation of the emoluments clause. It's exactly what it was meant for. No, look, it was meant back in. You got to remember, this is conceived of in the 1700s, and the concept was. Our representatives are so loosely associated with the United States, they may still have loyalties to other countries. And so the concept was we didn't want other countries giving gifts to our representatives for favors, in exchange for favors. That's the whole concept, is are they using their office to generate wealth for themselves and not look out for the American people? Well, okay, several things cut against that in this fact scenario. Number one, he wasn't going to make any profit off of the deal.
You mean the Doral thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that I'm going to talk about that also in a second. There, the first emoluments, though, was something else, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was all about whether his hotels were being used, and
Right.
I mean, it was, and then there was this implication of, well, his brand is going to be increased. Well, what if the party sucks? Then his brand hits the tank. You can't measure something like that as a quid or a pro, or a quo. It just doesn't work. And then also, this is talking about the G7, right? So there's at least 7 nations involved in this. Who's going to get the favoritism?
Right.
Well, where's the...
All of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all of them get favoritism. Well, then that's equal. I mean, what it doesn't... It's just... And then, of course, I mean, I'll take you to crappy Doral here.
Yeah.
There it is. Certainly doesn't look presidential or anything. I mean, why would you want to... Here's the... I mean, it's just amazing that there's the crystal ballroom. Okay.
It is?
Yeah.
The Doral?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me tell you, the thing about, though, there's 2 things that get me. Trump, for the first time, backed down.
Yes.
He backed down.
Well, second timer.
Really?
He did, yeah, one other little thing, but...
Oh, okay. Well, generally speaking, he doubles down.
Yes.
I mean, that... And this Doral thing made so much sense.
I agree.
I mean, it was just... The way I looked at it was this. First of all, everybody's in the same place.
Right.
Because in that way, you get to stay there in these luxurious whatever's accommodations. There's an airport right nearby. The security is unbelievable. You don't have to worry about security. You don't have to be worried about driving from the hotel in Mayflower over to the White House or whatever it is, however you're going to do it, or up to Camp David, for God's sakes. How are you going to get all those people and their entourage? I don't know how big Camp David is, but I don't think they're going to be, I don't think it's going to hold a couple of hundred people. I mean, I just don't know.
I don't know,
but so the point is that the Doral could easily have done this, and he said, "I'm not making any money," but okay. And of course, the amount of money he would make on it, what, $1 million? I mean,
I know that's the other thing I keep going back to. When people say emoluments clause to me, I ask them, "What do you think Donald Trump would do differently if he had an extra $1 billion?"
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah.
I mean, how? I thought for sure he would be insulated from attacks on this guy is using the office to make money because he already has literally more money than he could possibly spend in his lifetime.
Right.
So how? Yeah,
I'm with you on that, and I tell you the thing about it is when you think about the I say comedy, not comedy, but comedy that occurs when you have all the G7 people. They're wandering around this place. They get to go off by themselves and chit chat among 1-on-1, 2-on-2, or whatever it is. They got a pool. They got a golf course.
Yeah.
They got the food to beat the band. That room. Here's the room we're in. For God's sakes. I mean, this is like better than state dinners. You think screw the White House. You know what I mean? We're down here.
Well, they'll bring the chefs down there.
That's right. But not only that, it's a great for security when you think about it, because it's not only Trump, but it's all of them, and the Secret Service and the whole deal are all going to be in this one location. And as far as I'm concerned, when you figure out what could get done in an atmosphere like this, in a really fabo atmosphere, you got to be kidding me. This would be...
Well, from my perspective, there could be plenty of fabo super high security atmospheres. There's probably a dozen of them around the country that we normally use for these types of things. And
maybe you're right.
And I'm sure they're all set up for it. But the difference is this was his home turf. This is what Scott Adams pointed out, I thought very clearly, which is, look, man, you take the advantages where you can get them. And one of the things you want with negotiation is to overwhelm your opponents with your impressiveness. And and then that's his whole game, too. It's his thing where he pulls people in when he does the handshake and stuff like that. It's like a little bit bullying, but that's what you want from your negotiator.
And of course, the United States is the bully.
Well, of course we are. Of course we are.
The thing that gets me about it, of course, is that I suppose he had to back down because they were talking. This is another layer of the impeachment.
To me, I think he backed down because there were certain people who came out, like Judge Napolitano, who's normally seen as a guy from the conservative side.
Also,
and
John Kasich decided he's come out.
And they said it's definitely a violation. And it's like, it's so far from that. And then this gets back to the whole quid pro quo of it all. And you just go, I mean, what?
Well, this was another another knife wound in the impeachment stuff. What I just said is there are too many things, okay?
Right.
And so they've got the phone call, and they've got other things. I forget what they are. There's like a half a dozen things that they're considered to be obstruction of justice.
Right.
Blah blah on and on and on. And the last thing.
Did you see what happened with Kamala Harris when she got put on the spot by Anderson Cooper about?
Yes. Oh my God.
It's great. He's like, well, what specific laws? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And she, of all the people, she should have known.
Exactly. She's the prosecutor. She should have been able to statute 7.65217, 7.653, 1.257, U.S. Code 1642, whatever it was. She should have been rattling off those things. No, couldn't name a one. Not one. After she had literally just accused him of violating multiple crimes and rules. Mm-hmm. It was just such a horrible swipe by her, and she got backhanded.
Yeah, by Anderson Cooper of all people. So anyway, what's going to happen? Of course, well, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the other thing. They talk about the quid pro quo. Mm-hmm. Look, people have to remember, and this is nothing that Scott pointed out. Every negotiation is quid pro quo. Every communication is a negotiation. You have to think back to that movie with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino and the Devil's Advocate.
Okay.
And they're talking, and Keanu turns to him and says, "Are we negotiating?" And he's like, "Always. We're always negotiating. Of course we are. Everything we say." And that goes double or times 10 for heads of state.
Right.
Of course they're always negotiating.
Yeah.
So
you don't have any conversation almost without negotiating.
That's right.
I mean, the whole idea is, I suppose, you can make somebody an offer they can't refuse and call that negotiating, the head in the bed and all that kind of horse head in the bed and so forth. But basically, when the heads of state, they call up and they're talking, and it's, what do you want from me? What can I give you? Blah, blah, blah. And that's negotiating.
And that's the way it happens. That's what the chief of staff or whatever tried to point out. Of course, now
they pilloried his ass. Jesus, I mean...
well, that's quid pro quo. You just said it.
Well, of course, now they have... What's the new T-shirt? The new T-shirt is enough of that.
Get over it.
Get over it, right. Yeah. Get over it, right. Anyways, so what's happening, of course, is the impeachment. I'm going to come on with the impeachment. A slew of depositions of key figures in the impeachment inquiry lined up for next week, this coming week, starting tomorrow. They aren't anywhere near done compiling the evidence of President Trump's misconduct.
Anywhere near?
No, that's right. And yet, in the span of just a few hours this past week, they got enough to make staying focused on their biggest obstacle. Well, of course, what's interesting is when you have the New York Times coming right out and saying in the clandestine tape that impeachment is going to lead every single headline we're ever going to do. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if there's another school shooting and somebody gets shot up. Impeachment.
The news is impeachment.
Impeachment leads it, right.
Well, go ahead.
So anyway, the progressive House people are saying... she said there's a case to be made to write an article of impeachment based on the emoluments issue. We have to see how strong we can make the emoluments issue.
Right.
They're worried about maybe it's not quite strong enough. So we need to buff it up a little bit. And so of course Cortez, who by the way endorsed Bernie over the weekend, was among the first lawmakers to advocate for impeachment on emoluments. There's more than enough material, she says, out there to write an article. Then write it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I keep
hearing.
Go
ahead and write it.
We got this, we got that. Like, Schiff came out, and the rhetoric is straight out of high school in terms of this gaslighting type of... He comes out and says, well, it just went from very, very, very bad to much, much worse. It's like... Okay, well,
of course, Schiff was the one that said in his pocket he had the evidence against Trump for something. I know for a fact.
Right.
That's
nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. So you can't trust him very much.
No. Well, but it's just interesting to see how willing they are to just use this still, we're getting now Nancy comes out of the meeting and we need to pray for Trump again, and because he had a meltdown. It's like they're trying their best to paint him as a 5-year-old, and then Lawrence O'Donnell. Yeah, these people like Lawrence O'Donnell. I mean, former journalist, I'm going to call him, comes out and reads into the picture like a total mind reader. You know, he's like, well, you can see the expression on Trump's face is like a 5-year-old boy, and he's obviously upset because Nancy's pointing her finger at him, and you can see the other people at the table are looking down because they're obviously embarrassed to be there, and it's like, well, how do you know they're not reading? I mean, he does so.
They got their cell phones.
Right, exactly. And it's just so they're laying it out there, but it just bounces off at this point, I think, because it's just
well, as I say, that's one of the things. When you got this much stuff, where do you zero in on something?
Well, that is a bad approach. To take that, you're not going to convince a bunch of people by saying, well, he did so many things.
Well, what the idea is, and this is kind of the way the cops do it when they have a traffic stop.
Right.
You know,
throw everything at the wall.
Resisting arrest, blah blah blah. You cursed me out, so forth, and all these things there. You know, and
some things are just dumb. Like we had Hillary came out this week.
Oh my God, I think I've got her somewhere.
Okay.
Yes, I have this.
You do? Okay.
That's my next thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So let me just finish this off.
Okay.
Let's see. He would not profit. Okay. So that finishes up the Doral thing, and that's unfortunately is not going to happen. Who knows where it's going to be? Maybe have it at a Marriott or a Westin or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure they'll pick, like you said, Camp David or some other.
They could go to the one out. What's that one where they have the? Of course, you know, the G7 doesn't have to be the United States.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It could be. They could have it over with
Saudi Arabia.
So perfect.
Syria.
That's right. Mm-hmm. There you go. And or in where they have the thing in Switzerland.
Russia, of course.
Russia. Yes, right. They have these in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and again, it could be in the Switzerland place where they have the big meeting every year.
Yeah.
And or it could be at the Wyoming place where they have the meeting, that other meeting, the money people in Wyoming. I forget what it's called.
Okay.
It's a big one out there. Anyway, so that's to be had. That's next year. You know, who cares? 2020 vision. Hillary Clinton thinks that Russia will back Tulsi Gabbard to help Trump stay in power. Now she's gone off. This is loony time.
Look, this is watch that first step, Hillary. When you get in,
make sure your
prism glasses are on.
Well, not only that, make sure that your guards are in front of you so they can catch you when you.
Bad first step into the thing. I mean,
2016 Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton said this week that Representative Tulsi Gabbard is likely being groomed by Moscow as a third-party candidate in the 2020 race. I mean, let me tell you, this is, there's more to this, but this is what's his name got kicked off, who was the guy, the conspiracy guy that got kicked off of all of the websites and everything.
Alex Jones?
Alex Jones, right.
Uh-huh.
This is an Alex Jones thing.
Right. No,
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
This is an Alex Jones thing. Are you nuts?
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody was going to be booted off Twitter, this would be doing. She's in an interview with a former Obama campaign manager. She expressed her concerns.
Mm-hmm,
concerns about a possible Russian interference in 2020. They're going to go third party again, she said. I'm not making any predictions.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love
but
it.
let me.
I'm not making any predictions. Colon. But they've got their eye on someone who is currently in the Democratic primary, and they're grooming her.
Yeah.
Her, mind you. Okay. I don't know how many people are in the Democratic primary, but if they're like 10 guys and 2 girls or something.
Well, there's a few girls. I mean, she did kind of jump on that landmine a little bit, Tulsi, because she could have said, well, she's talking about Klobuchar or Harris.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Marianne Williamson, damn it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Anyway, so anyway, she's a favorite of the Russians. And here's Hillary coming up. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. What are you? I mean, this
a basket of them.
I mean, bots.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, could you just point? Now, are these in the same server where you're 30,000?
Yeah.
Whatever? I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, this to me, again, I thought of all the first steps to take in, she jumped right into the deep end, and I personally think she forgot to untie the weights around her ankles or something, because of all the people to attack for all the things. I mean, you don't attack Tulsi for her patriotism.
No.
It's like she's, first of all, the most authentic candidate other than Bernie in the entire Democratic field. Mm-hmm. So if you can't understand, if you can't accept what she's going to say and believe that is authentic, that's the wrong path. If you want to attack Tulsi, attack her on her domestic policy.
Yeah.
Go bananas. Throw her in and say, look, she's just like Bernie or whatever, or Warren or what. You could do a bunch of damage, but to go for her on her military.
Well, now here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know that Hillary has got a lot of military experience. There's two things.
She landed
and bullets were flying everywhere.
Right.
That's right. Got out of there. We had to dodge this, that, and the other thing. And of course, you're looking at the video of it, and you're thinking, "I'm sorry."
She's hugging her daughter.
That's right. God. That's my military experience. I was under fire.
Yeah. I can't believe she went for this one. And then Tulsi comes back and says, "I dare you to run." Did you see that?
No.
Tulsi tweeted back and called her a warmonger.
Oh no, so I got that part.
Yeah.
It says she knows. I don't know what this is all about. She knows she can't control me. I don't know what I mean.
I think that comes down to the Bernie thing. Like Hillary worked her control over the Democratic Party last time.
Yeah.
And she was able to squash everybody out, including Bernie, at the end by just saying, look, sorry. And that's what I think what Tulsi is saying. And maybe this whole plot, the only thing I can think of in Hillary's mind was she was thinking Tulsi's a strong candidate, but she's not going to get the Democratic nomination, so she'll go third party eventually before it's all over. So I'll take this pot shot now and put this arrow sort of flying through the air, so if he jumps into the third party aisle there, she gets hit by the arrow, and then everybody can look back and say, look, Hillary told us this is what was going to happen.
Well, you know what her proof is, don't you?
Jill Stein or something?
No. She says what the proof basically is. What she did is apparently Gabbard has often been criticized for her seeming support of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, which included meeting with him and openly questioning U.S. intelligence conclusions that Assad had carried out chemical weapons attacks. She did that. Now, of course, and of course, I do too.
Right.
One of the things that's interesting is what we have found about our intelligence services they're not all that bright.
Or trustworthy.
Or trustworthy, but they see nothing coming. When there's a blow up someplace, you'd think that the CIA or somebody would have said, had warned us in advance and put all the pieces in to nothing.
They stopped the shoe bomber.
Well,
really.
Yeah, right. There was a guy in the plane who shot the. But let's see. Of course, what's her name? Gabbard did, of course, was, and this is a smart thing to do in a way, she pulled out the veterans card and said, serve my country, you question my patriotism, I'm the one who went and fought to or whatever.
Well, exactly, and she's got that in spades over Hillary.
And she's not bad looking,
But that was just an amazing first step. I thought she took
was
there.
A stumble step.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is,
go ahead.
We thought Hillary would be announced by now.
Well, I said the day after, but I really meant the week after. It would have been home run if she jumped in the day after the debates, but. Today would be a fine day as well. And did you notice Shapiro also speculated in the last week that Hillary might get in?
No, did he?
Yeah. So he's been watching our show.
Okay. Yeah.
And finally jumped on board. And now, one thing I will say: if you go on to Twitter and you go to #IamTulsi, there is just a barrage of attacks on Tulsi from Hillary supporters. And they've got all kinds of theories about how Tulsi is a Russian agent and why and what proves it and stuff. And I'm serious. So this is what I love about the Hillary potential, because if she gets in, can you imagine what her supporters are willing to do on Twitter and social media and elsewhere to float her and So the Kool-Aid is strong with that one.
That's right. Kool-Aid is strong with you.
That's it.
No, it is just stunning. I'm trying to think of this movie with not Nicolas Cage. There was one where he was a Russian agent in the Pentagon or someplace. The movie came out about 10 or 15 years ago. God, famous actor. My Alzheimer's is kicking in. But, and it was, okay, never mind. I'll think of it. Nowhere to Go. No Way Out. No Way Out was the name of the movie.
Okay.
Get a chance. And it was famous actor, the guy who played in If You Build It, They Will Come.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, right.
Okay.
And he was the Russian agent, you found out towards the end of the movie. And they kept coming around all the time. It reminded me a little bit of the, this might have been this is a slight digression, I'm sorry. They were doing this thing where they were faxing over, somebody had maybe a picture, and the fax machine was going very slowly to try and come out with who it was. And he was knowing about this, and he's running around thinking, shit, I'm going to be... Well, it turned out that at the end of the movie, he still was a Russian agent.
Aha!
So Tulsi is too.
Manchurian Candidate.
That's right, done well. Now moving on to another candidate, woman. I love this, and just the headline: Warren's $30 trillion Medicare for all problems has a solution. I'm thinking there. 30 trillion?
Yeah. Why stop there, man?
No,
why?
I'm sitting here thinking, if you had the 30 trillion, I understand.
Right.
That you might be able to solve some problems.
Right.
But this is one of those things that's a given. Okay, here's the setup. You have 30 trillion, and now what?
Right.
Wait. I'm not sure about your premise there.
Yeah, no.
Where did the 30 trill come from?
No, and when you look, this is the only way I can see them getting away with this is people just can't even see the numbers anymore.
No, that's true. No, it's like light years, you know.
Right.
You know, when you talk about something, you say, well,
how many feet is 12 light years?
Right. Something like that. Oh, this planet is 28 light years away, but the other one is 100 light years, and so we might be able to. We're not going to make any of them. I'm sorry. You understand? It's just, because 100 is larger than 20. Yeah. Right.
Well, 1 is larger than all of everything we can do.
Right.
So.
That's right. So anyway, the thing is, it says there's plenty to critique. Sanders' plan would boost government spending by an estimated $30 trillion over 10 years, and almost certainly require a middle tax cap increase. Which, of course, that's one of the great things. Wait, it gets better.
Almost certainly require a cratering of all
the middle class. I mean, these are the people that are suffering. These are people that are dying now because of the low interest rates. Okay, so this is, and of course, what they tried to do in one of the debates, they tried to pin Warren down for the money.
Right. Yeah.
And she danced around it and didn't say a word. And this was a big deal that she didn't actually utter the words X trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, but we already know what it is. We don't care. I mean, so you didn't actually
15. Now she's gone and doubled it.
Oh yeah. Well, so anyway, she's, of course, one of her big things is she's pledged support for a wealth tax.
Yeah.
And of course, the wealth tax is supposed to bring in. Now, all this stuff is over 10 years, which is interesting because if she wins, even if she wins the second term, it's 8 years.
Right.
And so everything's 10 years, and you're making promises that you're not going to be able to keep.
Yeah.
You're writing checks that you can't cash kind of thing.
Yeah. Every time anybody, presidential candidate, projects out more than 8 years, I just go, wait, what? What? Huh?
How about more than 8 months? Just,
Well, seriously, but 8 years, you can't, there's no way you can say what's going to happen after that.
No, that's right. And of course, what you find is on a lot of this stuff, it's all back-ended. It always is back-ended. Like with the Obamacare, a lot of that stuff didn't kick into the 5th or 6th year.
Right.
I mean,
so we're still waiting for it to kick in.
That's right.
The whole point is that it's never going to kick in, and it's the same with the QE. Well, on the back end, we'll unwind the balance sheet. No, you won't.
No, you won't. And of course, speaking of that, of course, if you dare to call what they're doing now QE, no.
Right. No, definitely
we've
not.
We've changed the name on that.
That's it.
No. So anyway, she's set to raise $2.75 trillion over a decade for other initiatives. And so this is a wealth tax. We're going to take your wealth money. These are your stocks and bonds. These are your paintings. These are your fancy cars. You have to sell all that because we want to take some of that money. Only 2%.
She came out and said you didn't build that.
Right.
So
yeah, I realize that I did not build my Ferrari, but it's mine.
Yeah.
And
well, and what she doesn't understand is that you actually did pay for all the intermediary people all along the way.
Right. They all got, and of course that's the thing that people don't realize about the market system is when you realize when you pay, I don't know what do they pay for cars? $1 million for a car. There's like 20,000 people that got paid in various levels on that kind of stuff. So
she has no concept of the free market, and she is not a capitalist, and she doesn't understand what capital is. She wants to tax capital out of existence. She doesn't think it's going to go out of existence, though. She thinks she's just going to transfer it over to the more worthy people or something.
Well, the thing about it is what they want to do is they want to take capital, which is what you need in order for production.
Right.
You're talking about capital is like the building, the factory, and then there's some money in the bank to invest in a building, a private enterprise, and so forth. But you want to take some of that money and put it into consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you've done the consuming and there is no more capital, you're doomed. Look at Venezuela, which, by the way, I saw where their waterworks broke down. Now you can't even get water in Venezuela.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops, yeah. So anyway, what she's talking about, decade for other initiatives, adding some. Now what she's going to do, interestingly enough, is she wants to add some limits to coverage.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Why? Why?
Well, that's the thing. But you're going to go in there and they say, you need a heart transplant. What we can do...
We'll give you half a heart.
We'll give you half a heart, or we'll open you up and take a look.
That's right.
And then close you back up again. And then excluding undocumented immigrants and retaining limited out-of-pocket charges cuts the cost of single-payer plan nearly in half. So what she's going to do is, it's all free. You get everything you want, except...
When we limit you.
Except when we limit you, right. And that's right. And this is the thing, this is the big hoorah. I mean, when the Obamacare first, or some of the, I think it was in Oregon or someplace that they had their health plan original, before Obamacare, I think. And what they did is they listed the top, 100, 200 procedures. And what happened was, and these are the ones that were the most important. The most important was this.
And if you weren't on the list?
Well, not only that, what happened was they figured out what each one would cost. Number one was, heart transplant. Number two was, whatever it was. And so they had it all added up. And what they did was then we have this much money. And they literally got the list out and said, and they were added up, and then they drew a line right across there. And they said, that's our money. That's how much money. All the one above the line, you get it. The ones below the line, tough shit. No.
How just completely ignorant of the free market do you have to be to not understand that the market fills needs? And these people, they're trying to eliminate the concept of pay and profit. And they just don't understand how that drives everything. And they just want everything to be free. And it's just...
But of course, even Milton Friedman, who, by the way, I didn't realize this, he won his Nobel Prize on the 200th anniversary of Adam Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1976. Anyway, but as he famously said, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
And but people just, for some reason, they cannot seem to get that at all.
No, well, I'm telling you.
And 30 trillion. I mean, this rolls off the tongue.
I know.
Trillion.
Yeah, 10 times the annual revenue of the entire federal government. And
right, exactly. Yeah, well, almost. Yeah, right.
And so it's split out over 10 years. Okay, well, you're just going to double everything.
Right.
Forget about cutting spending. We're going to double it. And then we'll solve all your problems.
That's right.
She's a socialist.
Yeah.
This is socialism, and it doesn't work. It's a beautiful idea. There's people mistake this. They're like, well, capitalism is the ideology of hate. No, it's not. It's really not. It's the ideology of love. Misplaced love, misguided love, but it's love. They want to help. I saw this one person posted on Twitter this week. She said, well, if you had unlimited money, and you could do something for the people or whatever, what would you do with unlimited money? And people's things were like, well, I'd provide everything for everybody. And you're like, really? Well, what would they live for then? I mean, what?
Well, there's so many things. The question is so stupid.
Right.
Because if you had unlimited money, you don't.
Right.
That's the whole. You have to understand that all economics is the study of scarcity.
Right.
And so,
the hypothetical
fails
on its face.
You're wasting your time thinking about this.
Exactly. Now, look, you give somebody, if you said, well, what if you had $1 billion that was free and clear, but you had to spend it or something like that? And there were some good suggestions, help the veterans get prosthetics or something, or children's cancer research, I don't know, whatever else it is. But still, people don't understand. You can't just walk up to everybody and solve their problems. That's not what humans want.
Not only that, very often, as you well know, it backfires. Especially when governments, when I'm in the government, I'm here to help you. How many times has that done a 180 and exactly exacerbated the problem? I mean, on so many levels. When I think about this, my personal experience, for instance, with the housing. I mean, I had some apartments out here, and they wanted to put a Section 8 girl in there, and she, and they paid. Well, the next thing you know, Uncle Bob or whatever it was came there, and he's a drug dealer.
Right.
And suddenly, all the properties around that became, less valuable. And it backfired. She wasn't being taken care of, and
right. And look, and we can go through the backfires. I mean, the funding for the colleges has completely backfired, and now all the students are saddled with incredible student loan debt that they can't even exonerate in freaking bankruptcy.
Right.
You've got. I mean, you could go on and on. The housing market, the automobile market, and just. The approach is just all wrong. They need to get back to the market.
Well, they need to get out of the market. Well, they're actually, unfortunately, when they delve their huge monster fist in the market, they distort it. The market itself is obviously, as we know, is amazingly efficient. Not to say that there aren't some ups and downs in it, but that's what happens because, as Schumpeter would say, there's creative destruction. Some people make mistakes. I know personally I made a mistake when I was trying my business, but that was one of the things. It's just when they go through this stuff and they think that they're so smart, we'll get a bunch of people together and we'll pull an all-nighter and we'll fix it.
Right. That's what still how they're thinking, and all we have to do is take enough money from the rich people, and it makes perfect sense if you conceive of all the money as one pie.
Yeah.
Then okay, sure, the money has to come from somewhere, and obviously the rich people have it, so it has to come from them. But they just don't understand the whole creation process. And
well, not only that, there's a show on Netflix right now that was promoted, I think, by Scott Adams, and it's called Bill Gates' Brain.
Okay.
It's like two shows. It's a little short series.
Okay.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I never realized what a genius that guy is. And he is in the process of giving away his money. Now, you may disagree with some of it, but of course, Warren Buffett decided to give him $50 billion or whatever it was to help in his foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But he is in the process of doing what he considers to be good works privately. And he's really smart. Now, he could very well make some mistakes. Who knows what? But it's private,
right?
And there's no force involved,
right?
That's the beauty, is there's not a gun involved.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a gun involved, that's what you get worried. And this is like 100% voluntary. And so here's a guy who's a multi-billionaire. All right, what's he doing with his money? He is doing, what you would expect. He can't spend it.
No.
He can't. You can't eat that many steaks. I don't care. Even Kobe beef, you can't eat that much.
No, I'm with you. There's no way to spend the money except for charitable
Even if
philanthropy.
it sits in the bank.
Right.
The only thing that could be bad about it, I've said this before, is if you literally stuff it in your mattress. The only thing that happens if you stuff enough money in the mattress, that makes the amount of money in circulation less, and prices go down.
Right.
So, I mean...
Still not a problem.
Still not a problem, right. So it's just amazing. Now we go to the EU.
Okay.
And maybe you can know more about this than I do. I went through this. I tried to read some of this stuff. Boris Johnson sends EU extension request, but says it isn't from him. Now, I read the letter, and it looked like it was from him, but it makes a no-deal Brexit illegal, and there's a thing that the PMs did, from members of Parliament, MPs, and makes Brexit illegal and binds it by law to ask for an extension to January 31st. if he could not get a deal through by Parliament by 11 p.m. last night, I think it was. Yeah. But after this afternoon's humiliating blow, Johnson said, I continue to feel on the very strong belief that the best thing for the UK and all of Europe is us to bug out. Get out of the damn thing, and I will not negotiate a delay with the EU, and neither does the law compel me to do so. Well, apparently, as near as I figured, the law does, but he's just going to ignore it.
Well, it's possible. I'm not exactly sure what's going on over there, but I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Soon, that's right, this week, I believe.
Yes.
I will not negotiate a delay with the European Union. I'll tell the EU what I've told the British public for my 88 days as Prime Minister. Further delay is not a solution. And that's right.
Right.
That is correct. I mean, what's for you? So you got a delay until January 31st, and then, well, let's have another one.
And this is already the second delay.
Right.
And of course, they had 2 years before any delay.
Right.
So look, this is clearly still coming down to what we've talked about the whole time, which is there are forces that want people to remain. I mean, I saw people with signs that said any Brexit deal is bad.
Oh,
deal.
They've had
Remainers.
10,000 people in front of Parliament, saying we don't want to be out.
Right.
And and of course I think that the thing about one of the minor problems is when you start to ask the European Parliament, there's 27 members, okay? It has to be unanimous. You can't get unanimous on 3 people in there.
Yeah.
First of all, they all speak different languages. That's number one. I mean, you're going to get the French to agree with the Germans and the Españoles. I don't think so. I mean, this is, Italianos, pizza. It's just, I'm sitting there thinking, you get 27 complete different cultures, and they're all going to say, okay, let them go.
Yeah. No. Well, look, we've talked about it before. If they make it, if they get out, this will be possibly the very first time that 2 countries have separated without some type of conflict. Yeah. And so it's a big deal.
It is a very big deal. I mean, this could set the stage for some more. And of course, that's what a lot of them are worried about is, if the Italians or the Germans, Greeks or somebody say some way out of this, they're going like, wait a minute, they did it without a war? Ooh,
right.
How about
us?
Yeah. You can see that coming. Well, so anyway, we're going to now. I don't know what the deal is. Apparently, this week is some kind of weird. Oh, of course, one of the things that they did do is they met yesterday, Saturday, for the first time in decades. Normally, Parliament doesn't meet on the weekends, so they had a deal. And the first thing that came up was, we need to be paid for this.
First order of business.
First order of business. What, are we getting paid? So that'll be interesting. Okay, speaking of Britain, this is something that I thought was really fabulous.
Okay,
a massive haul of whiskey worth 6-figure sum was stolen by brazen thieves. This is whiskey. A significant amount now 6 figures is like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, has been stolen in a targeted and coordinated theft from some kind of yard. The incident happened around 2:30 in the morning at a secure site belonging to Chevis. So this to me, a Chevis whiskey, and this was, I think it was fast. Apparently, what they did is they had some video of it, and apparently some big, huge truck drove up and carted off, a big multiple, not bottles, but barrels of the stuff somehow. And so what I thought this was interesting. They've showed pictures of the truck, and they said, if anybody's seen this, Bolo, be on the lookout for this truck, and we want to ask them some questions. This is a truck of interest.
I thought they had cameras all over the whole freaking place.
I saw some of the pictures, and I'll tell you, they didn't look all. I mean, it seems like. Now listen, if this was this well-coordinated attack, I would imagine that white truck ended up being blue within 10 minutes after pulling out of there.
Yeah, well,
it would peel off all the white.
Yeah, exactly. You run up there and
they do that all the time in the movies. But I love this. And Detective Inspector David Wagstaff said this was clearly a targeted and coordinated theft that has been carried out with the plan to sell the alcohol illegally. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Duh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. it's like when they rob a cigarette truck, you know.
Right.
You know,
well, it's for a big party.
It's for a big party. We're not going to sell it illegally.
No,
we're going to sell it legally. That's we did this illegal thing. We robbed the whiskey place, and I'm thinking, of course it's going to be sold illegally, you idiot.
Yeah. Well, it's.
We're thinking about 2 charges now: stealing and selling illegally.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's just hard to believe you could get away with that kind of.
Well, that's what they said. Apparently, it was one of these things like the great robbery that they had over there years and years ago.
Yeah.
Well coordinated. That this was obviously scoped out. It's not like somebody just walked in and said, "Hey, let's take it." Keys in the car.
The UK, man, I saw a couple of crazy stories over there this week. Since we're there right now, the police are investigating over there a quote-unquote actual crime whereby a trans person who was formerly a guy and is now a girl was offered a role in a porn movie.
I saw that.
And then when the director figured out that...
One of the directors, I think it was one of the actors.
Well, director, actor, whatever. The guy who set the whole thing up figured out that the girl was not a girl, still had man parts, said, no, sorry, you can't be in the film. She's suing.
Yeah.
And they're investigating it for hate crime. That's a crime to it's
well, you think about it. This is a porn movie, right?
Right.
This is where a guy is supposed to mount this girl, right, and suddenly he's sitting there thinking, "Whoa, wait a minute!
I mean,
there's too many penises here."
That's right.
There's one more than's supposed to be here.
And and it's fine if you set that up as that's going to be this type of movie,
right?
But like over here in the States, even in the States, we have rules like you can't use any of the Title 6 or 7 or whatever protections they are to say you deserve a role in a movie. You can't say, well, they hired me. They didn't hire me because I'm a woman and they wanted a man. Well, yeah, because the role calls for a man. I mean, that's what the role calls for. And so, but apparently in the UK, the line has been grayed there now, and it's amazing.
Well, you have to understand now, the UK for literally hundreds of years has been where men always play women.
Right, of course.
Shakespeare,
of course.
No women in Shakespeare.
Right. Well, and there is that's the one hoopla that's happening here in the States is whenever they'll have somebody who's supposed to be a trans person or something in a film or supposed to be disabled. Now there's a big push to have those people actually be trans or disabled.
Right.
As opposed to actors.
Yeah.
Which
you have to, if it's a wheelchair, you have to get a guy who actually is wheelchair bound.
That's right, because we wouldn't want an actor in there. Yeah. Acting.
Who, by the way, when the filming stopped, could get up and go get some lunch.
Right. But I mean, Lieutenant Dan did a great job.
Yeah.
And
God, how did they do that?
That was beyond
movie
amazing.
magic. I'll tell you right now.
But how can you? It's silliness. This is silliness, you guys. But the UK is just—they're off the deep end. I mean, it's like, hey, did you just call him a name? Or who are you calling him?
Yeah, right.
It's just what? So
you got anything else over there?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let me move on. Here, getting interesting. California.
Aha! I can take us to California.
Okay. This is interesting because you know about the PG&E, which is
right.
Yeah, right. There you go. Pacific Gas and Electric. The regulators, of course, the very serious regulators in California are slamming PG&E for the electricity shutoff, which, of course, as we talked about before, you're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
If you don't turn off the electricity and it sparks a fire, you're going to get sued.
Right.
And now you turn off the electricity and suddenly 750,000 homes, no AC, no nothing.
Right.
Zero. And of course they're needless to say a little upset. So, but California's top regulator excoriated top executives for the state's largest utility, even as PG&E repeatedly said that they know that they failed to meet public expectations. Now the PG&E people are groveling. They're apologizing over and over. We're sorry, blah blah blah, whatever it is. It gets better. I love her name is Mary Bell Batfield.
Batshit crazy.
Batshit, yeah. Mary Bell Batshit, president of the California Public Utilities Commission called for an emergency meeting on Friday and ordered the executives to attend and explain themselves. She said she was astounded by what she thought were simple preparedness steps that the utility could have taken. Now, here's the thing. She's a regulator, okay? Yeah. And as far as the regulator is concerned, this is so simple.
Yeah.
Look, this is electricity, okay? Right. You turn the switch and the light comes on. What is complicated about this? I'm in the regulatory business, and you should have seen this coming. And
that's right.
It is so simple, and so of course they keep apologizing because she's got a gun, of course.
Sure.
This is a regulator thing. I mean,
that's why the PG&E are playing the game right now, and that's why they keep coming out and saying, "Well, we can't do it because of fire safety and."
Well, that's number one. But of course, the other thing that they're being pilloried for is they happen to be a private. They're not public.
Right.
But they might as well be because
they're
of the
heavily regulated.
Yeah, they're heavily. I mean, they might as well be, owned by the state because the state can say anything.
Yeah. Well, they can tell them how much to charge.
Oh, and they have done that.
Right.
That was one of the real problems that they had. The scandal they had before when their various places were suddenly requiring all kinds of electricity, and the brokers were sitting in there. This I think might have even been in the Enron days, and they're calling up and saying, "Yeah, we'll sell you those kilowatts for $2 a kilowatt hour."
Right.
Or something like that. And you didn't have any choice.
Right.
So then the governor, Gavin Newsom, he blasted the San Francisco-based utility, for decades of mismanagement. Well,
decades? Good oversight there.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry, where were the regulators after all this? How many regulators are getting fired?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, exactly.
For the profit. And now they're having calls to break up the company. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe, but that has to be done with a gun, too. I mean, you pass a law that says you have to make,
Well, this is just, we're going to fix it. Now that we're going to fix it up.
Yeah, now that decades.
Right.
Now, of course, the other thing is that comes along. Decades of mismanagement. I mean, where have you been? Many regulator people, where have you been of decades?
Right.
You just walked in the door and said, "Oh, here's all the mismanagement."
Right. And of course, over the last, let's say 3 decades, let's just say 3.
Okay.
Computers have come online. Right. So maybe you couldn't check in 1989 what was happening, but today you can check by Googling it. I mean, how hard is it to regulate something like that? And yet they're blowing it completely.
Yeah, completely. And again, you'd expect no less from a bureaucratic agency. Right. There's no accountability. Nobody gets fired.
No.
They make a mistake.
Well, they have no responsibility.
They have no responsibility.
All their responsibility is to hold the other people responsible for something.
Well, that's what they did. They're holding the PG&E people. They called them in to give them a thrashing.
Right, exactly. And then we've done our job.
The California utility
didn't provide electricity.
Here's the thing they've already said.
Okay.
PG&E has said, this is going to take, it is a decade of power cuts.
Yeah, I saw that.
They already said it's going to take us 10 years. Now, I mean, I would imagine if I'm in Northern California and somebody said, wait a minute, are you telling me that for the next 10 years
we can expect rolling blackouts?
We can expect rolling blackouts and everything? I mean, and you sit there and think, well, what could possibly go wrong? I mean, what about my refrigerator, my pool pump, my air conditioner?
The business. How does the business run?
How about the red lights? The street lights. I mean, everything that and so we're only going to cut it off for 24 or 48 hours or something.
And I understand they're not giving out precise maps or warnings or anything.
We'll tell you when it happens.
That's it.
Yeah,
you'll know. So anyway.
The Bill Johnson, who became CEO of the bankrupt PG, I didn't realize they'd gone bankrupt.
Well,
earlier this year,
the fire, I think.
Earlier this year they went bankrupt. But I mean, that should have been a clue that there was a problem.
Yeah. Well, and of course, what you do is you allow the assets to be sold off at rock bottom prices or whatever it is.
Whatever anybody wants to bid at. Yeah.
We'll give it.
You get rid of the regulators.
That's right. You get DeVito in there, and he takes over.
Yeah.
And he fixes it, and then you sell it all off, whatever, but deregulate the hell out of it. Look, Elon Musk can provide you guys with electricity, and I guarantee it won't take 10 years.
No.
Give him 6 months or a year, and you'll have the system back up and running. But
well, I would think that the for sale signs would be going up all over the place.
I mean, I got to think Exodus. If you're
in the Northern California area and you're thinking, wait a minute, for the next 10 years, I'm putting this on some other sucker.
Right, and I doubt they're going to get too much of a walk back from that either. I mean, we'll see.
I don't know. But so anyway, they still years away. And then it says, eventually the technology will get us to a point where we don't need doing it. Well, yeah, really? Yeah.
Yeah, look, these are power companies that are still using wooden poles to hold up their
right.
power lines.
That's right.
Which were invented in like 1913.
Yeah.
And that's the best you can do. And you know why? Because zero competition.
Right.
Zero
yes.
competition. If you had competition, this shit would have been fixed decades ago.
Well, what's interesting, you should mention this, because this is one of the things I've always said, and that is, you learn in Economics 101, the first thing you learn is how the regulators get in there and they say, well, you couldn't have 2 or 3 sewer lines. You can't have
right.
2 or 3 phone lines. You can't, this is what a waste.
Right.
So we're going to give a monopoly
right.
to one of them, and that way we'll give them a certain amount of money that
we'll
they can
make sure they do it good.
And we'll make sure
just
they do
like
it good.
we did with PG&E.
And I'm absolutely convinced that if they had just said, and we have a case of this, if they just said, we don't care, you can put in your 3 sewer lines. Yeah. May the best man win.
Absolutely.
And of course we saw this down where you used to live.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was one of the greatest things. It was the cable company. Mm-hmm. They had a little screw up. Mm-hmm. And they had one cable company, and on this one road, they had accidentally given the franchise on one side of the road to Warner or whoever it was.
Yeah. Well, you had a choice on one side of the road.
On one side, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They had accidentally run both cable companies down that one side of the road.
Yeah.
And so if you happen to be on that side of the road, you could call up and say, I don't like your service.
And the cable bill was half the price as ours, which was across the street, and
right.
we only had one cable company to choose from.
That's I just thought it was great.
Perfect illustration.
So anyway, so they cut off 10-year timeline, and 730,000 homes were disadvantaged or whatever sometime. So this apparently is going to go on during wildfire season. They don't have any choice, I guess.
Well, they have a choice from the standpoint of they can do it. But what's happened, obviously, is they were sued. Their pants got sued off.
That's why they went bankrupt.
Right, and so now if you do it again, you run the risk of them throwing you in jail. And so they're going to shut it down, and that's what they've done. And so,
no electricity for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
Speaking of temperatures, in Qatar, mm-hmm. One of the hottest places on earth, have risen so much that authorities have installed air conditioning out in the open.
What?
Yes, they have put giant cooler air conditioners along the major streets and everything like that. Because the summer temperatures now reach 46 degrees C, which is like 125 or something Fahrenheit, regularly. Already started air conditioning its football stadiums in preparation for the World Cup in 2022. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
And giant coolers have been installed along the pavements and even outdoor shopping malls, so a cool breeze allows life to go on as before. Now wait, this is what's really good.
Until somebody shuts off the power.
Well, the thing is, it's powered by fossil fuels.
Right.
So accelerated fission, the electricity that powers them is from fossil fuels, which emit even more carbon dioxide than the atmosphere is causing in the climate emergency. Qatar, which is the largest per capita emitter country in greenhouse gases according to the World Bank, nearly 3 times as much as America and almost 6 times as much as China, and Qatar uses about 60% of its electricity for cooling. Mm-hmm. Now this should tell you something.
Move.
But
they got oil there, so
I'll tell you. Well, I understand that, but you sit there and you're thinking, yeah, okay, we got all the oil and everything, but Jesus, if you have to cool the outside, if you have to cool the country from the, I don't know. I don't know why they haven't built the big dome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go for the dome. Why not?
So anyway, I just thought that was interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have to
do. Okay. Well, I got a couple of things here. Almost done. But did you notice some of the worldwide unrest this week that kind of popped up? Riots in Chile.
Yes.
Riots in unrest in Spain. Again,
didn't see Spain.
Well, it's the Catalonia thing.
Oh, the Catalonia. And Ecuador, was there some in
Ecuador? That was a couple days ago, and also now Lebanon is
really Lebanon.
And apparently these, like the Chile thing, is related to again. It seems to me to be cutbacks on government payments to things.
Really?
Yeah, that's what apparently it was the.
Now Chile's a long, skinny country.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the one that Milton Friedman went down there and made him.
It used to be gangbusters.
Right, it was, yeah.
It was going great. But
because what they did is they passed a law that said privately you have to invest a certain amount of money in your retirement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they got rid of what they call Social Security.
Well, I don't know. It's just interesting to me that the way I see that is I think of as the economies are undergoing stress. These governments are cutting back on what have long been considered essential services,
right?
And the people are pissed, and they're realizing you can't rely on the governments for these.
Do they really realize that? I mean, they riot in the streets, is what they do.
Well, I'm with you. They don't really realize that yet, but it seems like they might be.
What's stunning about this is you only have to look at the failures. And it's always the same reason, you Venezuela and all the other countries that are, Russia and the East Germany and all this stuff, the places that have been totally failing, the Soviet Union, the whole deal, and it's all because of socialism and that kind of government interference across the board. And why are you surprised? When your own government, you can see the handwriting on the wall. It seems to me.
Well, that's what we're trying to point out anyway.
Yeah. You're an idiot if you rely on the government. Remember,
right?
If you take the Queen's shilling, you do the Queen's bidding.
Well, exactly, and not only that, but they can take it back.
They can take it back, right?
So, you're in big trouble there. Just a real quick light note update. I've been trying to do a science update for a while. The carbon dioxide battery improvement is coming along. Apparently, they've created a battery that has 7 times the energy density of lithium ion.
No.
Yeah. And apparently now it's rechargeable. The big thing was they were having a problem getting it to be rechargeable, but it's coming online. So that could be a nice advancement.
I didn't see that. That would be. I do know that there's been some people that I know with the guy that did all the research on the steam engine or the internal combustion engines. Starts with a C, and I can't remember again. There's a certain amount of maximum efficiency that can be gotten from the combustion engines or steam engines or whatever, no matter what you do, has to do with temperature differential. Now, on the battery, somebody had calculated, geez, there's only so many electrons or whatever it is, and this seems to me to exceed.
Well, it's because, I guess, of the different configuration. I mean, I don't know what lithium carbon dioxide is relative to lithium ion, but apparently it's significantly better. So we'll keep people updated if anything comes out. I'm still waiting. I love the nanotube ones were the really neat ones that I saw recently. But and then the video of the week. Just wanted to mention this. Did you see the climate protesters in the UK?
No.
Okay, so there's apparently a large group of climate alarmists in the UK right now whose methodology is to go and block the streets. Mm-hmm. They get out there and just block the streets. So there's this video this week of half a dozen of them blocking off a street, and they had a big banner. And a bunch of cars sitting there honking their horns and stuff. And some guy walks by and just rips the sign out of their hand and throws it over some fence and tells them to F off and whatever. And it was just, the comments were just like, buy that man a beer, everybody was just cheering the guy, look, man, and he was yelling, he was like, people have to go to work, get out of the freaking road,
Well, so, and of course, when you think your car is sitting there idling anyway.
There's that too. But they're just trying to get attention. But
it's my electric car.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
I charged it up on coal.
Yep. And then one final criminal justice thing this week. There was a woman in, I think, New Jersey charged this week for felonies because her son committed some crimes. This is a shooting thing where the son went in last December and shot some rounds off at a school, ended up killing himself. And I don't think he killed anybody else, but now they're charging the mom.
With?
Well, that's a good question. They didn't. It wasn't like failure to safely secure your guns. It was
reckless indeed.
Exactly. It was reckless control of a child and negligent assertion of parenting or something. I mean, these crazy like extensions of responsibility, and they're charging it with criminal liability. Like, no, they're not going to sue her. They're going to put her in jail. Like, what's she going to do? Raise another kid that goes and we don't want to raise any more, sterilize her. It's just weirdness, and then just a crazy precedent. But all right, I think that's all I got.
That's it. We're done. We're a little over. This is good.
Yep, no problemo.
Thank you, folks.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back on Wednesday.
That's right. So, thanks for joining us. This has been the Jimmy Doane Show. This track brought to you by Kevin MacLeod. He helps us out with all this cool music. We appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you, sir. So we'll be back on the 23rd, Wednesday of October. Join us then right here on the Jimmy Doane Show Facebook channel. Hey, Kenny. Good to see you, sir. All right. I'm Counselor Curtis. This is the Jimmy Doane Show.